Hi, I'm Caitlin, and for our honors English class we had to choose from a long list of different books, and I chose Fahrenheit 451. In this book, it was written in 1951-ish, and it takes place in the future, but no specific year. And in this civilization, literature and books really are just illegal. So the main character of this book, or the protagonist, but he's not much of a hero, just kind of the main character, is Guy Montag, and he's a fireman, not a firefighter, fireman. And he has a wife, and a fireman's job is to set fires instead of put them out. About on the first page, Guy meets this girl named Clarice McClellan, who she's really a minority in this city wherever they live, and she thinks about like how it used to be or why this happens instead of this way, which most people usually don't. They just go about their life. So when Guy meets Clarice, she asks him all sorts of questions which really make him think about what he's doing and if it's the right thing. And something that she does ask him, which really makes him think and starts this whole book going, is, "Are you happy?" And he doesn't know if he is happy or not. So after Montag talks with Clarice and really thinks about all this stuff, he goes home to his wife Mildred, and she is just kind of crazy. She watches all this. She doesn't watch it. She listens to this radio or mindless television that she calls her family, and it just drives her insane, and to the point where she does try to commit suicide. And when Guy calls the people to pump up all the pills from her stomach, they come like it's a regular day thing, which I guess in this civilization it happens all the time. The next day after they pump out her stomach, Mildred doesn't remember a thing. Either she doesn't want to or she just doesn't. And I guess it's kind of like life goes on, nothing really happens, which is the idea Clarice kind of put into Guy's head, which is ironic because she dies later, just in case you're wondering. So later that day, Guy just goes on to work like he does on a normal day. And while he's there, he's a fireman at the fireplace, and while he's there, the alarm goes off, which means there is a house with books that they need to go burn down and get rid of all the books and everything in the house. In this house, there's this lady, this woman, who has thousands or hundreds, I guess, of books just laying everywhere, and when they tell her to leave the house when they set fire, she refuses, saying she doesn't want them to take away her books. She'd rather die with them. As Montag is dumping kerosene on all of these books, he thinks back to Clarice, who asks him, is he really happy burning these books? And without even knowing it, his hands just grab a book and hides it in his jacket. Montag goes home tonight. He thinks about Clarice and how she's dead, and he just thinks that he never was happy and he still isn't. So he goes to his wife and dumps out 20-something books in front of her. And this is when Montag says to her, "I might even start reading books." And that is just so illegal. And then Montag called in sick to work, thinking he was going to resign because he didn't want to burn these books anymore. That night, Montag's Captain Beatty, showed up at his house to make sure he was alright. And they started to talk. And through this conversation, the reader can also infer that Beatty once cared about literature and read books just as much as Montag does now. After Beatty leaves the house, Montag starts to think about this other character, Faber, who he knew a year before this book even came out. So he decides to go and meet Faber and converse about books. And FYI, I don't know how to say his name. It could be Faber or Faber or Faber, or I'll just probably say all of them. Faber used to be a professor, and he taught English or literature to students, and when they started burning the books and getting rid of them, he never spoke out, and he regrets that today. So Montag and Faber start to converse about all these books, and Montag convinces Faber to bring back books. Faber gives Montag this bullet, kind of a walkie-talkie that put in your ear, and you can hear what's around the other person and what they say, so they kind of talk to each other. Then Montag goes to confront Beatty about burning books. Montag says to Beatty, "What if it was our houses, our books?" And then, so without a moment of hesitation, Beatty replies, "We haven't any books." Which is ironic because then the alarm goes off, and guess what? It's Montag's house. They pull up to Montag's house. They see Mildred running away with a bag of stuff, just kind of mumbling to herself. And you realize Mildred pulled the alarm, reported it. Then Montag burns down his own house and all of the books in it. And then he burns Beetee. But right before that, he takes Beetee's own advice and says, "Don't face the problem, burn it." Well, now I've done both. Goodbye, Captain. Montag is now on the run. He's a fugitive and there's a warrant out for his arrest. He is just running when there's this mechanical hound thing, this machine that the firemen use to sniff out these books and stuff. And then he goes to Faber to see him one last time and say pretty much goodbye and that he won't see each other again. And then from then on he's on the run. After a few hours of running away from the cops and all these helicopters that are searching for him, he approaches these 5 guys around a fire. And when he meets them, they're called the Book People, and they're out to bring books back. Montag joins the Book People, and then he's just on the run with them, finding these books, memorizing them, and trying to bring them back. The end. Overall, I thought this book was pretty good. It was a little complex, and I was confused at parts, but I am glad that I got to read it. Well, that's it. Bye!